All right, here's a quick follow-up to the question about summing two dice. So first of all, I just put in die 1, die 2 in the sum. If you want to go to view and freeze that top row, you can. What that means is when you scroll down, it's just going to keep that top row. Okay, so die 1, it's got sides 1 through 6. And in our video, we saw that we can use rand between. And then when we put our first parenthesis, it says, okay, bottom and top. Right, so bottom number, the lowest we can get is 1, the highest we can get is 6, and then we close that out, so 1 comma 6. And there we go, we get a number between 1 and 6. I'm just going to scroll down and do like 25 of these, but you know, on the actual problem you were asked to do more. So notice all these numbers are between 1 and 6. All right, that's exactly what we wanted for the first die. For the second die, we want the same thing. Now we don't have to go through the same process. I can go to the bottom right here, click on it, and scroll over, and when I release, it's going to give me other numbers that are 1 through 6, right? It copied over that rand between. So now we have that pretty quickly, so our two dice are there. Keep in mind, as soon as I do anything, these are going to change values. That rand function is going to change values. So I'm going to either Control-C, Command-C, or right-click and do copy, and then I can just paste it right on top. Now these are going to change one more time because, like I said, anytime we do anything, but you want to paste it as just the values. So it's going to take away the function. That rand between function will be gone. So I'm going to paste them. Notice that they changed, right? There's always that one last change. But now I'm going to say, okay, I want the sum of those. So I can do a couple things. I can just do equals this plus this. Right? Or I can use my sum function, and when I do that, I can just highlight both of those. And now these are relative references, right? We don't have dollar signs. So when I move this down, I have a couple options. I can scroll down like that, right, from this bottom right, or I can just double click the bottom right, and it'll fill into wherever my table looks like it's ending. Okay, so those ones, and if we just check one of these, if I click up here in the formula bar, we see that we're summing, sure enough, the ones left of it. So that's the beauty of those relative references. And so those change as we scroll down, right? Change to, oh, row 10, here's the sum of A10 and B10. Okay, now we have those sums. So we want to know how many 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, etc. there are. I'm just going to do a couple of these, but the idea, again, if you have more tosses, more whatever, and you can have a column for the number of rolls, that would probably be wise. Again, I'm kind of cutting to the chase on this since we have a video that covers this in more detail. So let's do count if. So I'm going to say, okay, of the sums that I got, count up all the 2s. So choose the range and then choose 2. Right? I can hit enter. It looks like I got no 2s. That's fine. I don't see any 2s in that column. So I could have just said 2. Now the other thing I could have done is I could have said, well, since I already have the list above, I'm going to count if I get this number. You might say, okay, that didn't change anything. Why would I do that? Well, if I'm going to keep referencing the number above, I can make this a draggable formula. So as soon as I do that, right, I can now drag this over. And I'm going to get 0 here, and I'll kind of tell you why, even though I see a 3 right over here. So let's click on this and check in our formula bar. It's going to highlight what it's using. So it did use the 3 like I wanted it to from cell F3. But the range is wrong. So I need to go back to that initial cell and say, you know what? I want to keep referencing the same range. Make an absolute reference. So do $ in front of both the cell and the column and the row for those cells. So now hit enter, and if I scroll over, I'm just going to go over one place here. This number changed. Let's highlight it, and we see, okay, I'm referencing, sure enough, the sums like I wanted to because it's absolute. So every time I'm going to reference those sums, but F3, that one's relative. So I'm going to keep moving over as my cell moves over. So now I can just go like this, right? And if I have more entries, then I have more pieces there. And it's just counting up all of the different, how many 2s did I get? How many 3s? How many 4s? How many 5s? Right, so this was our roll, the frequency, and maybe I'll put in an extra column here just so we're kind of clear on this. So this is the sum, this is the frequency, and if you need the relative frequency, or something like that, right, or the percentage, otherwise known as the relative frequency, then we just say, okay, well, how many rolls that I have in total? I'm going to divide my frequency by that. So I'm going to say equals whatever my frequency is divided by, now in my case I did 25 rolls. For the lab, or for the activity, it's a little different. So I'm going to take that, right, it's going to say use the frequency, divide by 25. So then I can just drag this over. And now, for example, again, click in the formula bar here to see what it's using. So it's using this frequency like we want it to, divided by 25. I go to, let's say, this one. Click in here. It's using I4. It's using this frequency divided by 25, right? So if you have other values out here, 6, 7, 8, right, you can just take these guys and go, cool, I'm going to keep going. And so once you have that initial formula set up, you should be good to roll. Now the videos that I covered should have done the first part of this pretty clearly. I also mentioned the Countif function. We did this with coins, right? We counted ones and zeros, but it's no different if we're counting 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. We use that Countif function.